Hey you guys, it's Peter, and welcome to my channel, Peterisms, where I tell stories of my life and just little things that I've learned as I have grown into the person that I am today. And it's late. It is it's 8 o'clock, right on the dot. So my husband is getting ready to come home, and we're gonna probably watch a little RuPaul's Drag Race and catch up on RuPaul's Drag Race All-Stars. So I thought I would end the day with some meditations today. So let's get right into these. I have my reading glasses right here. And let's get into you know what, actually, let's skip this one today, and let's read just from the Melody Beatty books. So today is August 12th. Let's hear what the meditations have to say to us today. Okay. August 12th, directness. Direct people are a joy to be around. We never have to guess what they're really thinking or feeling because they're honest about their thoughts and openly express their feelings. We never have to wonder if they're with us because they want to be, or if they're there out of guilt and obligation. When they do something for us, we don't have to worry whether they'll end up resenting us because direct people generally do things that please themselves. We don't have to fuss about the status of our relationship because if we ask, they'll tell us. We don't have to worry if they're angry because they deal openly with their anger and resolve it quickly. We don't have to ponder whether they are talking about us behind our backs because if they have something to say, it will be said to us directly. We don't have to wonder if we can rely on them because direct people are trustworthy. Wouldn't it be nice if we were all direct? Today, I will let go of my notions that it is somehow good or desirable to be indirect. Instead, I will strive for honesty, directness, and clarity in my communication. I will let directness in my relationships begin with me. Interesting meditation. You know, one of the words that the people in my life often use to describe me is they'll say, well, you're very direct, you know? And I guess I've always kind of seen that as maybe a positive and as a negative. You know, as she was citing off the different things about them, I don't know that I would agree that all of those apply to me, you know? And I think it also depends on who the person is I'm interacting with and how much I trust them, if that makes sense. Like, I think that sometimes directness can come across as being blunt. It can come across as being unfavorable. I have found that to be true. But I think sometimes it's not maybe so much the directness, as I've learned it's the language that I use in being direct, you know? You know, there's a huge difference in, I'm trying to think of an example. So, you know, years and years and years ago, right? Okay, before I met my husband, the year that I met my husband, I was very overweight. And I've since put on most of that weight. And I've put on all of that weight. But, you know, it was something that I talked about as much as I talk about today. My weight. And I was in a car with a friend of mine. And I said to her, we were talking, she's very like in shape and works out regularly and all kinds of stuff. And, but never ever said anything to me like, you know, like, oh God, you like really need to lose weight or whatever. She never said anything like that to me, you know? And I was just talking about this to a friend of mine the other day because somebody said a comment to them that they were really hurt by it. And I was talking to my friend Tanya about this, and I said, do you remember when so-and-so said that to me? And that was literally the thing that precipitated me making a change. And I said to her, my friend, we were driving around a car one night talking about my weight, and I said, do you think that I'm really like overweight? And she said, I don't think that you want me to answer that question. And I said, no, like I want you to be direct with me. I want you to be honest, you know? And she said, I think that you would be really hot, like if you lost weight, you know? And she said, I think you're cute now and you're handsome. She was like, you know, but I think for you, your confidence kind of like is muted because you have issues with your weight, and you always have. We've talked about this, you know? And she was right. She was absolutely 100% right. The trust, the bond of trust between us, I could hear that comment from her versus a stranger on the street coming up to me and saying, you know what, like if you lost weight, you would be hot, but basically implying that I wasn't, you know what I mean? Like there's the language that we use that's different. And I know there's a lot of people out there, whenever I use this example, I always offend one or two people and they're like, well, I think that's really cruel that somebody would say that to you or whatever. I think I needed somebody to say to me, like, your issues with your weight are what is standing in the way of you being confident. Because I was just so shy, you know, like, you know, to this day, like, one of the greatest things I've learned as a result of it is, and I did lose a lot of weight after that. I lost it very quickly and kept it off for quite some time. But one of the things that I learned is that back in the day, I would always like, if there were 3 people taking a picture, I was always standing behind the 2 people, and I'd be like, just put my head up there. And I have friends of mine that do that today, and I'm always like, you're going to want yourself in those pictures later down the road, because trust me, I look back when times, it's like you look at a picture and you're like, where am I in that picture? Oh, I'm hiding back there behind 6 other people because I don't want anybody to see my body, when nobody really cares, you know? I had another friend of mine around that same time that he kept on inviting me to things. And I said to him one time, no, I don't want to go, whatever. And he goes, why do you always turn down all these things? And I said, I've gained a lot of weight. Like, I don't want to be around these. This is where I allowed my weight, and which I think also fed my social anxiety, to stop me from enjoying life. And I don't do that today, you know? And I'm just as heavy, if not heavier now than I was then, but I don't let it stop me today. And I do want to get healthy, and I do want to lose weight, but I don't want where I'm at today to stop me from enjoying my life today, because I don't know when that's going to happen, and I don't know how many tomorrows I have. So I'm not going to let that, how I am today and how I feel about that, stop me from enjoying my life. And he said to me, he said, do you think that I invite you to my parties and my dinner parties and stuff because I'm concerned with how you look? He goes, I want you here because you're my friend and I love you, you know? And like, that put it in perspective to me too. And what I really realized was a couple people were very blunt with me, not so much about my weight, but my perception of my own weight, you know? A friend of mine the other night, she said to me, she said, I don't like the way that you always talk about your weight. I feel like you're always putting yourself down. And I was like, you know what? I need to take a look at that. You know, I really do, because maybe there's a lot of truth to that. And I think it's okay when people that we love are direct with us, but I also think the language that we use is really, really important with that, you know? I want to go through a couple of these because I like these. It says, direct people are a joy to be around. I mean, like I said, it depends on how direct that person is and, you know, like what they say. I've been around a lot of direct people that are not a joy to be around, you know what I mean? We never have to guess what they're really thinking or feeling because they're honest about their thoughts and openly express their feelings. I agree with that statement. But again, I think that these are relationships with people that we can trust, you know? We never have to wonder if they're with us or because they want to be or that they're out of guilt and obligation. I think that's true too. I think, like, I'm not going to go through all these. I already read the meditation, but I do think that one thing is, as a person that has attempted to be direct with my close friends and family, I think sometimes we say too much, you know, when we don't have to. I think sometimes, and I've learned this, there's an art to this, to pulling back, or to not having to have a conversation around a group of people. You know, that there's a time and a place to have a conversation. Had my friend and I been having that conversation in the car, around 4 or 5 other people, I don't know that I would have felt the same way about it. I would have felt called out, you know what I mean? And there's a difference to that. I think it's about really the precipice, or the preface before that is building healthy, trusting relationships with people that you can then say, hey, we can be direct with one another because I trust you enough to say that. I will say this, it's, you know, like, friends are our friends in life, but that doesn't mean that they don't hurt our feelings from time to time. You know, often I'll feel like I got left out of something or whatever, and I'll say to one of my friends, you know, like, my feelings were kind of hurt. And they'll say, well, I wish you had said something earlier, but I didn't say something because I didn't feel like I could be direct enough because I didn't want to hurt other people's feelings or make it about me or whatever, you know? And so I think that people that love us, they want us to be direct. They want us to be more open and authentic with them. But first, I think we have to build the relationships where we feel like we can trust that. Because if we've been in a lot of relationships that have been untrustworthy, as I have in my life, if we've been in a lot of relationships that have ended and we've gotten hurt over, as I have in my life, as many of you I'm sure have, then what happens is we don't trust people to the point where we want to be that direct and honest with them, and we want them to be that direct and honest with us, because then it kind of feels painful. It hurts. It's not like they love us, so they're saying this. I mean, it gets to a point where you have to kind of like, you have to get to the point where you're like, okay, this person really cares about me and loves me and won't do anything to hurt me. And then after that is, and so when they say these things to me, they're not saying it to me to hurt me. They're not saying it to put me in my place. They're saying it because they love me enough to say it. And I think that's a huge part of all of this, you know? All right, let's read from the next meditation, The Journey to the Heart by Melody Beatty. August 12th. Practice forgiveness. He was an old man sitting on the corner bench. I don't know why we just keep on forgiving our brothers and sisters, he said, looking at the people walking by. I suppose it's because when we do, we really forgive ourselves. Is there someone we're judging, censoring? If we look more closely, we'll see that when we blame others, we're chastising ourselves as well. If we're honest, really honest, we can see that often what upsets us is something similar to what we ourselves do. Other people can be mirrors of our own behavior. Absolutely. One of the greatest lessons I've ever learned in my life is that other people are mirrors of myself. And when I have a huge issue with somebody, often what I need to do is take a look at what's going on and say, is that something that I do myself? Is that a part of me? Am I thinking about myself in that? Or is it really just about them? And I think that's where trustworthy people in our lives come into play. Sponsors, counselors, mentors, friends, things like that. We can say, is this, like, when I'm talking about this person, am I like that, But often I think we know. Yes, there are times when another person does something absolutely outrageous, and we can stand there, hands on hips, saying, I've been wronged. Absolutely. I can't understand how anyone could behave that way. But often, if we're honest, we really can understand we have behaved that way too. Practice forgiveness. Judgment without forgiveness causes us to feel isolated, separate, and apart. Causes us to judge ourselves in the same way. Discover how much better you feel when you forgive others. Find out how much better you feel when you forgive yourself. I think it's, a hard lesson in life. It's much like To Kill a Mockingbird, to stand on, somebody else's front porch and walk around in their shoes for a bit, as Atticus tells Scout in the book. And to really see something from somebody else's point of view, you see their perspective. You see, like, maybe I have a part in this. You can see how they have felt hurt or wronged, and then I think it's sometimes easier to forgive. I also am such a believer in the definition of forgiveness by Oprah that she learned on a show by a guest that she had, and I've shared this on here millions of times. Well, not millions, but I've shared it on here probably hundreds of times, 100 times at least, that forgiveness is accepting what happened in the past. Not accepting that what happened was okay. Not saying that it was okay what happened, but accepting that it happened. Okay? Not in our minds going back over and going, what if, or how do we change that, or whatever. Spilt milk. What if, But saying, I accept what happened. Now what am I going to do going forward so that event does not hold me hostage in my life, so that I can move through that pain and forgive whoever or whatever situation I need to. And often in that situation, as time goes on, I think sometimes we just hold on to resentments and anger and grudges and pain because we want to feel vindicated. We want to feel right. We want to tell on somebody. We want somebody else to feel the same pain that we went through. When really all we would have to do is forgive that person and realize it's not really about them, it's about us anyway, and letting that go so that we can be free. Forgiveness is really about freedom for ourselves, not for that other person. Most times they don't even care. If you're sitting in your living room and you say to yourself, I forgive so-and-so from 20 years ago, it doesn't impact their day. They don't know. And 9 times out of 10, we're not even talking to those people, and they're not in our lives anymore, But it's hard. It's hard to do that because sometimes we cling to the past because we want to be vindicated for that pain that we went through. We want somebody else to know what we went through and how horrible it was, okay? And I'm not talking about deep issues. Those are things for counseling and therapy. I'm talking about, breakups, friends say things about us, hurt things, where, it's like, I want somebody to know what a horrible person this person is, But it doesn't really matter. And like I said, at the end of the day, would you rather be happy or would you rather be right? I would rather be happy. But sometimes my being happy is needing to forgive people from the past and realize that, maybe they were just as screwed up as I was at that time, and realizing that I had a part in something, they had a part in something, maybe their part was bigger, maybe mine was smaller, maybe mine was bigger, who knows, maybe theirs was smaller. But I don't want to be held hostage to those things that happened to me in my past anymore. I just don't. I don't want to live in my past, I want to tell memories, positive memories from my past. But then I want to live in the present and create new memories and enjoy my life today while I still have it, Because like I said earlier, we don't know how many tomorrows we have. Anyway, let me know what you think in the comment section below. I love you guys, and I will see you tomorrow. Bye.